Porsche first gave one of its cars the GTS treatment in the final stages of the 911-997's lifespan, breathing new life into the outgoing model. A model which had already been heaped with praise in its normal Carrera S guise. So when a chance came up to take a drive in this example, I just had to take the opportunity to find out if this really is a sweet spot in the 997 range. I'm Roger Bailey, and this should be interesting.
I came from the mud, there's dirt on my hands. Strong like a tree, there's roots where I stand. Oh, I've been running from the law. Hope they won't shoot me down soon.
It was the last hurrah for the 997 generation, and Porsche's engineers, being car fanatics through and through, made sure to build their GTS around the rear-wheel drive 911. They determined lightness needed adding, which they did by removing any unnecessary bits, and for good measure, they would tune up the engine and give their prodigy, the wide body, they assembled their best formula, one normally reserved for the more specialised GT models. And it's interesting to find that this tuned up engine is the same as that used to great effect in the Speedster and Sport Classic models, both of which were expensive limited run special editions. Special too was the GTS intake manifold, boasting 6 rather than one single flap, switching between power and torque optimised engine maps, resulting in the output of the 3.8 litre flat 6 not only sounding furious, bettering the 380 brake horsepower Carrera S by delivering 408 brake horsepower and making the torque curve flat all the way through that long rev range. Walking around this car, you can't help noticing this wide rear body covering these fat rear tyres which wrap around 19-inch centre-locking RS spider wheels, but don't miss this sport design nose with its lower spoiler, plus these extended sills coming straight from the GT2 RS. Alcantara covers most surfaces, and while personally I'm not a big fan of the synthetic suede product, it does a good job in making this cockpit feel snug and comfortable. 911 cabins always feel like they are wrapped around you in a rather special way. The Coupe GTS didn't come with rear seats, but interestingly you could specify the 2 tiny rear seats as an option. That was an option they didn't actually charge you for either. This is very baffling. Porsche's adaptive PASM suspension was thrown in too, along with a sports exhaust and a bigger fuel tank which was up from 67 to 90 litres, so that's more free goodies from the world's most successful seller of options. There was of course a good reason for this unusual act of generosity. The GTS was an end of model final hurrah before the 991 arrived, and they threw it all at the 997 GTS to clear out the stock. That Zuffhausen did it so well remains a gift to Porsche enthusiasts. So with 3 options, that power kit which was worth £8,241 at the time, the wide body, the exhaust and the myriad of other extras, the £76,700 that Porsche asked for the GTS seemed at the time to be a bargain. That it was made in few numbers and held onto its value better than that of a banker's bonus made the GTS just about the wisest buy in Porsche's non-GT2 GT3 range. There was even a GTS Cabriolet for just £1,350 more than a bog standard Carrera S drop top, a car that seemed an even better deal. So I can hear you thinking, how does this 9-year-old 911 drive? Is it going to disappoint me having driven all the modern 911s? Oh no. After the very first corner, it's the steering that awakens your senses. It's alive and it's analog, with more feedback coming through the thin Alcantara rim than that of any later 911. It's light and it's direct, enticing you to tug the rim to perform corner carving antics. Direct hydraulic steering like this can't be fully replicated with modern electric steering systems, and our 997 feels gorgeously feelsome. It's creamy smooth at all times, making this Porsche easy to place and lovely to drive, even at low speeds. And it's even better when you push on faster. Our 997 is so keen to change direction, is so precise and is so involving that the excellent chassis handling only heightens the experience. Start to explore the middle and upper reaches of its performance and you get tremendous confidence from the sheer grip available, yet there's still that ever-present sense of balance you get from all the best rear drive 911s. Ceramic brakes were an option at the time, however a 997 GTS is more likely to have these steel stoppers, which are easy to modulate, give great feedback, and being Porsche brakes are so strong they'll pull your spectacles off. And back to this thoroughbred engine. There's enough torque from the unmuted flat 6 to propel 1420 kilograms off into the scenery in a vivid 4.5 seconds 0 to 60 time, and then on to a reported top speed of 190 miles per hour. And of course there are no turbos or emission mufflers here, just a free-flowing baritone, bellowing and crackling exhaust note, made even better here in our car by the addition of an aftermarket exhaust. So we have senior levels of drama and performance, which puts the GTS on all but equal footing with serious supercar competitors of the day, and when used in anger will raise eyebrows even today. So is it a safe bet buying a high performance car of this vintage? Well, best advice as always is to get it expertly checked before parting with your money. This example being a 997 Gen 2 shouldn't suffer IMS bearing or cylinder bore scoring problems, which affected some of the earlier models. Connected to a Porsche computer to reveal data such as active fault codes, over revs, and compare the car's built-in distance measuring equipment mileage record with that shown on the speedo. If you can find a nice example like this one, you will be rewarded with an intoxicating blend of everyday usability, a cracking engine experience with the throttle response only provided by a well-tuned, naturally aspirated engine, delicious steering and enough performance to thrill you on any B-road. Oh, and don't forget, 997 GTS Rarity makes for impressive residual values. It's no wonder the owner of this car, John, says this car is a keeper, and my thanks go to John once again for letting us out in his pristine GTS, a Porsche which is quite possibly all the 911 you will ever need, one brimming with that unique Porsche driving essence that those all-knowing Porsche aficionados crave even more as we head off into a whole new decade.
Even if there was no difference between a Carrera S and a GTS, all the extra kit will make this car more desirable, that it feels more dynamic to drive and that it's measurably a better car makes the 997 GTS one of Porsche's most desirable 911s. Is it destined to be a valuable classic? Well, if you can find a nice example like this one, I can tell you the pleasure is in the finding out. So thank you for watching. If you've liked this video, please give it a thumbs up, and comments are always welcomed. I read every single one and I'll reply to most. And if you haven't already, please think about subscribing, and if you hit that little notification bell, I'll send you another video.
When the sun rises, when the sun